Welcome to Brand Builders TV. Deep dive topics, tools and resources brought to you by global thought leaders from within the Brand Builders Club. This show gives you access to the strategies that you can use to move forward with ease and flow in every area of your life and business. In today's show, Sally is going to discuss how your setbacks are an invitation to grow, shift and change. Learn it, model it and get shit done. Let's go.
Hey. Welcome. Here we are live on BBTV, and I'm Sally, the Bliss Alchemist. Today we're talking about creating balance by boldly living in a safe space. You will hear my definition of bliss and the 4 steps my clients use to live a life of balance. Stories, tips, and techniques will enable you to start today creating your blissful journey. And then I'll share an invitation to learn more about pendulums, a physical tool you can use when you want the clarity that escapes you. So why am I honored to be the Bliss Alchemist? We'll start with definitions. Alchemy is a power or process that changes or transforms something in a mysterious or impressive way. It's a blending of several elements. Yeah, creation, right? And my definition of bliss is boldly living in a safe space. So what does that mean for me? Well, boldly is courageously. Boldness is a personal thing. The best way to be bold is to know what you want. When you are clear on your goal, it's easier to be bold. We talked about that a little on Monday when we were facing our fears. Monday at 11 o'clock, same time. To move ahead with no direction is more foolhardy than bold. And in my opinion, the best way to get clear, or a way, one of the best ways to get clear on your goal is to first ask, when was I at my best? Or if you're looking for an emotion, when was I happiest? Just write down as many situations as you can and look at the common denominators. What is the common thread? Were you with people or were you by yourself? What activity were you doing? Maybe you were doing something with your hands or creating something in your mind or being super physically active. What were you doing and what's the commonality amongst all of those things? Because these insights will guide you towards what you want to focus on getting more of in the future. And then, with your best experiences fresh in your mind, feel how it feels to have this. Many of us were told to negate our feelings as kids. Like, oh, you shouldn't feel scared. Or, don't be scared. Or, oh, they're nice. What's wrong with you? Oh, let your auntie hug you. She's okay. It's okay. She just loves you. And inside, we knew something, we just didn't feel like getting a hug today, or we didn't feel like being brave, or we didn't feel safe. And so we learned to negate our best barometer of how we were feeling, of what was safe for us, knowing ourselves. My kids, when they were growing up, there was this character called Muzzy, teaching kids about being safe and knowing who to go with and knowing what situation was okay to be in. And there was a song about trusting your gut. And that's normally where we feel the feeling that something isn't right, or, in our heart we feel expanse and lightness. It's like, wow, this is really great. So learn the emotions of your body and learn how it feels to be in that emotion. And notice everything about how it feels. Notice if there's a color that's associated with it. Notice where it is. And do try to give it a label if you can. It's just helpful. It could be frustration, it could be fear, it could be excitement. But be clear on what it is you're feeling. Be as good about that as you can, and as clear about that as you can. You might want to give it a vibration, and notice where that shows up, maybe even a shape or a word besides the emotional attachment and the emotion label that you're going to give it. Just notice everything. And when you're clear on that, I want you to notice your feet on the floor. Just notice what they feel like today. Do you feel your feet? Maybe, maybe not. It's okay. Good information. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And do that a couple times. This helps get us centered in our bodies. Now just imagine you can feel, as every breath you feel air going in through your skin into your heart. And allow your mind, give it permission to relax and be supported by your heart. And come back to those feelings of those experiences, your experiences. And daydream. Give yourself permission to daydream about your future. What do you see yourself doing, feeling, having? Just notice. No judgment. It is what it is. Another way to look at this is just imagine that you are with yourself, your future self. Go 5, 10, 15 years in the future and ask your future self, what is your biggest success? Your biggest regret? And check in with that replay on Monday the 19th on Facing Your Fears for more options. But just notice what's coming up for you. How are you going to feel in 5 years when you look back on what you created? Will you be satisfied? So living, bliss, right? Second letter L for living and being alive. That's the definition of living, because we're either growing or we're not. The opposite of growth is death, right? Or diminishment or shrinking or not expanse. And as we move into our future, we want to be expanding our information, expanding our reach, expanding our community. We want to be growing. It's the ability to adapt to changes begun internally. So we're changing on the inside to grow and show what's happening on the inside is growing and showing on the outside. You probably already know the way to live. You've heard it before. It is to be engaged in your life. Now, there are times it's okay to zone out, like when you're driving or when you're walking. Well, sometimes, but you'll know when it's okay, but it's okay because that leaves our brains free to do something else, and it saves a lot of energy. Because if we were always thinking, okay, left foot next, right foot next, we wouldn't have time to do anything else. Which brings to mind, that is a beautiful meditation if you do need to calm down and get clear. Mindful meditation, just counting your steps. But I digress. When you are with people, please do not multitask. Unless you're doing a chore with them. If you are weeding with somebody, or you are a sewing circle, or quilting, or baking, or working on a project together, you are going to be engaged and doing something, right? But you want to be engaged. Do not answer your phone. Do not reply to that text. Because I guarantee you, in a month, you're not going to remember that text, but you will remember the time you spent totally engaged with that person that you're talking to. Because as I like to remember, to the world, you may be just one person, but to that one person, you may be the world. You may be, in that moment, changing the trajectory of their life, giving them a new insight. So when we engage with others, as Judith Quinn said, we're always speaking professionally, right? We're always public speaking. And when we are talking to others, be engaged. Because it saves time, for one, and frustration. Don't have to keep having them repeat. You don't need to worry about, being frustrated about, oh gosh, I didn't hear that, and asking them, or they're not listening and you're getting frustrated. And who knows what you'll be inspired to create together. Who knows? Sky's the limit. So our next letter is S. N-A. I kind of skipped over those. Bliss. Boldly living in a safe space. So safe is our next word. And it's secure from liability to harm, injury, danger, or risk. That seems like a tall order. I'm reminded again of my friend Angela, who had her goal in mind and was safe. It really just goes back to being clear on what you want, why you're here. Something not quite as dramatic as Angela's story was my being asked to go back to work. Some of you may know I'm a practicing dental hygienist, have been forever, and COVID closed us down for about 6 weeks here in Virginia. And after the 6 weeks, our boss called us up and said, time to go back to work. And I had been prepared because the governor was saying, yes, we're opening soon. So I was prepared. And I had to be clear on what was true for me. I didn't want to be true for what he felt was right. I didn't want to be true for what my coworkers felt was right. I didn't want to be true to anybody else but me, because I wanted to feel comfortable in the knowledge that I could do what was best for me at that time. So I sat with that, and yes, I used my pendulum. You're going to hear that's an invitation I'm going to offer later to learn a little bit more about pendulums. It's a great tool for clarity. But I also, that was my reinforcement, but I also was clear with myself. What is true for me? Is it true that I want to go back to work now? Or would I feel more comfortable going back later? And it actually came to me, it became apparent that I would be better off personally coming back 2 weeks later. I told my boss, and he was fine with that. And because I was clear, I could come up with some really good ideas on why I decided not to come back. And our hearts make the decision, and then our heads figure out. So we buy with our emotion, we make choices with our emotion, and then our head figures out how to make it logical. And so my head said, oh, you know, it'll be one less practitioner, there'll be less people coming in. My patients had been especially concerned before we closed about the safety of everybody, themselves included. And so it seemed appropriate. So I told them that, and that flew. they took that. And so 2 weeks later, after everybody had been coming in and the system had been kind of down, going on, and they had the schedule and how everything was going to work pretty organized, I came into work. And we have a morning meeting, and in that morning meeting, I just said, how's everybody doing? Well, people started saying, I'm nervous, this person makes me worried, but all these fears started coming up. There was a lot of agitation in the morning meeting, and I was like, wow, that's interesting. And my boss noticed it too, because right after the meeting, he came into my operatory and he said, things were just fine before you came in. I was like, okay. I said, well, I beg to differ, because that was all going on in their heads. They just felt comfortable verbalizing it. And wouldn't you be more comfortable knowing where everybody stands instead of, you know, just putting your head in the sand and pretending like everybody's okay? And they're going home a nervous wreck. That only adds to the stress. And he just was not very happy with me, and he let me know it. If I had not been clear on why I did what I did, because it was the best thing for me, I would have, the old me, would have risen to his level, and I would say both of us would have ended up in a situation neither one of us wanted. And that could have been me leaving and not ever coming back. And so it's so important, when you're clear on what you want, you can state it and not be ruffled when somebody disagrees with you, because that's their opinion. That's their opinion. They're entitled to their opinion. And my opinion is this. And I'm really comfortable with my opinion. And I know it to be true for me. There are many truths. And this is what's true for me. And I was safe because I was grounded. I could not be bowled over. I could not be pushed around. I could not be browbeaten or guilt-ridden into making a choice that wasn't right for me. And there we come to space. the second S in bliss. This is an unlimited is the key word, three-dimensional realm in which all material objects are located and all events occur. Heart Math Institute says that our hearts can vibrate 15 feet out all around us. All around us. And so that is why when you walk into a room that maybe feels uncomfortable, you could even have your eyes closed and know that something not really pleasant is going on. You wouldn't even have to hear, you could feel it. You know, the old saying, you could cut the tension with a knife. Yeah. And this is that vibration. The space around us. We can read it just like a dog, and the hair goes up on the back of their neck when they aren't comfortable. We have that same ability to know what's right and what's wrong, what's safe space and what's not safe space. And you may remember on Thursday when I talked about the ball in between our hands and the energy ball. This is that same space that's around us. And when we're feeling good, our space expands. When we're feeling uncertain, unsafe, unsteady, our energetic field collapses. And it is so much easier to create from this space than from this space. We're talking about the interconnectedness of all of us. And whether you look at how coworkers' actions affect yours, or a community's decision to dam up a stream, or even if you're looking at being connected to universal consciousness, any level of that, we are all related and connected through vibration. I read something recently about forests, and there's like the oldest tree communicates with all the other trees. So when you look, I think it's like 70 feet around it. I don't think it was miles. Sorry. And yeah, 70 feet. And so if it's helping and talking to all those other trees, you're looking at a community. You're not looking at an oak tree or a birch tree or a sycamore tree. You're looking at a community of trees that are engaged and interacting with each other. We just don't see it. And that's how we are. A connected community of the human race, human consciousness. Have you heard of the butterfly effect? It was a little book that said the flapping of a wings, and it's a study, the flapping of a butterfly's wings in Africa can create a tornado halfway around the world. Just with that motion. So your actions and the actions of others affect each of us in our space. And the action doesn't even need to be an overt action, an outward action. It can be a mindset action. So let's set our minds to what we want, for expansion, for growth, for bliss. So bliss is courageously growing and adapting without susceptibility to harm, injury, danger, or risk in a realm where all events occur. I can live with that. Can you? today you heard my ideas and techniques that I and my clients have used to create blissful lives, to create events, to move to new homes, to invite money into our bank accounts, and to create a life that can be looked back on with satisfaction. So keep the acronym for bliss in mind. Boldly living in a safe space. And if you want to learn more about an ancient physical tool that you can use to help you gain clarity, that's the pendulum. Not the only one, for sure, but it's a great tool. And if you want to learn how to register, when you register for this class, you will receive a video on what you need to know on how to make a pendulum. And then you'll for sure get the replay in your box. So don't worry about time zones or being available. And during the class, you will learn how to use the tool to release pain, energetic blocks, and help make decisions. Help be clear on decisions. And you'll learn how to take care of it, so it can be ready to go anytime you need it. And there's a bonus clearing technique that I'll share just in case you don't have your quartz crystal with you right yet. So, I'd love to see you on the call. Go to yourblissfuljourney.com/pendulums, PENDULUMS to register for that class. Make this a blissful journey because it's your life.
I hope that you've enjoyed the show today as much as we've enjoyed making it for you. If you've got anything out of this episode, please do tell someone else how they can subscribe to the Brand Builders TV channel at youtube.com/brandbuilderstv. Why not join us at our next Brand Builders Thinkubator, a global mastermind that we run every week to take away the loneliness of being in business on your own. For more information and to book your place, visit light.brandbuilders.club/Thinkubator. That's light.brandbuilders.club/Thinkubator. Until next time, be the ripple that you wish to see in the world, and we'll see you soon.